Look, I got something you need to hear. You know Alex Hormozi, right? The content machine who's pumped out a mind blowing 35,000 pieces of content in just 3 years. Well, he just admitted that he screwed up big time. And trust me, it's a careless mistake that I see way too many coaches making, and myself included. I'll throw myself under the bus. I've certainly made this mistake plenty of times. And so, what's the deal? Hormozi thought going wider with his content would bring in more people into his world to get his business stuff. Right? He thought he would get more applications for his business stuff. And spoiler alert, it didn't. His words and not mine were people who come for relationship stuff want relationship stuff. People who want fitness stuff want more fitness stuff. People who come for business stuff want more business stuff. So, despite getting more views and followers than in any period of his content creating history, it wasn't bringing in people who wanted his stuff. Now, ouch, right? More views, more followers sounds like a dream for most people. I see so many people that are chasing vanity metrics. They're chasing the followers, they're chasing the likes, they're chasing the views, but they're chasing the wrong metrics. And it all boils down to how you're communicating. Are you saying the right words to the right in the right way to the right people so that you get the right people engaging on your stuff? I don't know about you, but I would much rather have 1,000 of the right people consuming my stuff, ideal clients, dream clients, people that I can actually impact and that I love working with, and they love working with me. I'd much rather have 1,000 of them than 10,000 people that aren't the right people. Because if they're not the right people, what's the damn point? Are you trying to win a popularity contest? You know what I'm saying? Like, so now most people are thinking this, but isn't social media all about visibility? Sure. Getting eyeballs is easier when you zoom out and tackle broader topics, when your messaging is super diverse and you're just speaking very generally. But here's what everyone misses, or at least most people miss. How many people see your content? That's half of it. Who sees it? That's the important piece. That's the golden ticket for you. Let me put it this way: visibility is important for sure, no doubt. But visibility without the potential for action, that's just noise. It's like shouting your pitch in New York, going to, like, say, Times Square. Thousands of people might hear you, but how many give a crap about what you're selling? You know what I mean? So, what can you do? Well, here's a few things that I've done and that you could do as well. Refine your messaging, aka say the right words in the right way to the right people. So, some things that you could consider right here, right now, to give you some context and some depth to this is number one, I want you to think about your dream client's psychology, right? What is like in their head right now? And I think it was maybe, perhaps it was Dan Kennedy or a famous marketer or copywriter, nonetheless, said, enter the conversation in your customer's mind. And so, what are the things that are going on in their mind? So, if we break this up into a table, if you imagine a triangle, and on the very bottom of the triangle are like survival needs. These are what people are currently in your market, what is triggering a survival instinct or need for them. And then in the middle of the triangle, we'll have thriving needs. These are things that people are now, once they've solved their survival needs, they're now like, all right, what can I do to thrive? And then at the very top, you have like the dream. And so, an example of this, say in weight loss, say somebody is 65 pounds overweight. Some things that might trigger their survival needs are their partner not loving them anymore because they're just so overweight and so unhealthy, right? Another survival need might be health problems. They might actually get diabetes, or they might have a health problem and not be around for their kids. So, being able to understand what's going on in their head versus just using in your messaging, like, here's how to lose 20 pounds. And the next, it's like that's part of it, but we want to go deeper into their psychology so that we can actually activate what's going on in their world, what's tapping into their survival instincts. Does that make sense? And so, depending on your audience, on your niche, you'll want to go deep there and you want to really figure out how to be able to connect your messaging, how to connect your content to the things that are going to actually make them move, the things that are going to actually tap into a real emotion that is going to cause them to want to be able to connect with you and see you as that doctor, as that guide that can be able to help them. Another thing that you could do here to refine your messaging is think about what those high value keywords are. What are the things that are they might be searching for in their current season of life and where they are? Somebody that might be brand new into trying to figure out how to lose weight, maybe they're like in their late 20s and college, they put on a bunch of weight and they're like, crap. They might be like, how do I lose weight? Because they're super beginner when it comes to trying to lose weight. Versus somebody that's already been trying to lose weight for, say, 5, 6, 10, 15 years, they might be searching for, how do I get rid of the stubborn belly fat? You see what I'm saying? So keywords matter, and how you communicate those keywords in your content matter a lot when it comes to who you're attracting, who is actually clicking on your videos, who is actually consuming your content, who you're actually drawing in or pulling into your world. Does that make sense? Another example here, and then we'll go to step number 2. I just hopefully that this is super helpful and valuable, because this is the stuff right here. This is the golden ticket for you. If I say the word leads, if I'm like, hey, do you want to get leads? I'm going to attract a very wide range of business owner. I'm going to attract people that might not even have a business yet. They might not have anything yet. You see what I'm saying? And I still might attract very high caliber, sophisticated business owners, because most business owners are always looking for more leads. Versus if I say, hey, do you want to get inbound leads? I'm now speaking to a more sophisticated person. This person's already been in the game for a little bit, right? They understand the difference between a lead and a inbound lead, right? An outbound lead is a lot more effort. You got to like go out, DM people. You got to do all the stuff. Versus an inbound lead, they're coming in from your content. So if I say the word inbound lead, it's going to speak to a very specific type of person, the person that I'm trying to speak to. Does that make sense? So keyword, like really speaking to the psychology of where people are, so you could trigger that survival mechanism that is already being triggered in them. And then number 2 is being able to speak to those high value keywords. Because if you don't do this, they're going to go out there and they're going to buy stuff because there's like shitty companies right now. Like, look at like the food industry, like sugars and well, just so many different things that are triggering these people's emotional survival instincts and causing them to have worse health, stuck on these dopamine, these like cheap dopamine cycles. So you can use this power of influence for good, and actually gravitate or grab and pull in the right people, so you can actually help and transform them. Another thing that's super helpful here is so in your content, now we're moving into like how to communicate in your content. It's add a popular example that would resonate only with your ideal clients, with your dream clients. So what's a popular metaphor or example, or perhaps even using storytelling to be able to illustrate your point? So rather than just teaching a general topic, so it's like, here's how to lose 20 pounds, or here's how to post content. It's like adding in an example or story to be able to illustrate your teaching topics. Case in point, I am using Alex Hormozi's story, which most of my audience probably is familiar with Alex Hormozi, to be able to illustrate and expand upon how to do it right. So going off of like what he did wrong, and he publicly admitted this, to how you can do it right. You see what I'm saying? So it's adding a popular example, metaphor, analogy, or story to be able to illustrate your teaching topics is going to help tremendously with A, creating more compelling content, and B, it's when you use something that speaks only to your dream clients. So an example here, if I'm talking about physics or something, right? If I'm using a metaphor on physics and none of my audience really cares or understands or has any interest in physics, then it's probably not a great example or story to use to illustrate a teaching topic, right? And in weight loss, an example here is when I used to try to really get my audience to grasp the concept of being able to eat the right amount of calories, to eat properly, not to just diet and cut out calories like crazy. I would talk about a story. I would be like, hey, imagine going on a 10-hour road trip with your family. And before you stop to go on the road trip, right before the highway, you stop at a gas station and you go to fill up. But instead of filling up, you only put $5 in gas in your tank. Like, how far do you think you're going to make it? And it hit my audience because they understood it. And they were like, wow, thank you. And now my content stood out more to them because I was speaking more their language. I was using examples, stories, metaphors, analogies, all of that stuff to teach what I wanted to teach, and it resonated with them. Does that make sense? So that's number 2. Number 3, it's make your content shift people's perspectives, not just teach at them. So to expand upon point number 2, a lot of times to shift people's perspectives, you do use analogies, examples, metaphors, stories. That is a key way. But to elaborate on this in point number 3 here is you want to intentionally go into your content intentionally to get people to see things a different way. I don't know if you've ever heard the term thought leader. People talk about thought leadership. What do you think thought leaders are? They're people that lead other people's thoughts. So if your audience is like, my genetics suck and that's why I can't lose weight, well, you have to go in there and you have to be able to become that attorney and shift their way they think about it so that they no longer believe that it's their genetics. And only a really, really good communicator can do that. So you've got to become that really great communicator of your message, of your truth to your audience so that your content isn't just giving them helpful tips and workouts and advice or whatever it is that you teach, but it's actually getting them to think differently. It's getting them to see things through your lens. And there's so many ways to shift people's perspective, but the easiest ways are going to be through what we just talked about in point number 2, right? Using metaphors, analogies, storytelling. And these could be personal stories, client stories, external stories. I once used, this was back like, 2019, 2020, somewhere around there. And I think Chris Hemsworth and I think it was a new Marvel movie where it was like Chris Hemsworth and Scarlett Johansson. Like I looked up their workouts and what they were doing, and they're public. People like they kind of shared publicly like what they were doing, or at least their trainers or somebody did. And so I remember I did a whole video series on like how to get a body like Chris Hemsworth or Scarlett Johansson. And I had this whole hook and angle on it, and I was able to shift people's perspectives using an external case study on what these Hollywood actors and actresses do. And I linked it back to like my audience's current beliefs of like, oh, you just got to diet. I'm like, no, they're not dieting. Like, here's what they're doing. Right. So that's number 3. And the last one I have for you here, or I got two more. I just thought of an extra one. So number 4 is craft an attention grabbing hook. You got to make them need to keep reading or to keep watching. Right. So you want to be able to have a really good hook, because if your content could be the best damn thing to hit the internet, but if you don't have a really good hook that grabs your ideal client, your dream client's attention, it doesn't really matter. And so going back to what we talked about, your dream client psychology, what's going to tap into their survival needs, you want to start thinking about a hook that's going to either be speaking to your dream client's pain or to their desire. What is that pain or desire? So it's either going towards like the negative, or it's going to go towards the positive aspirational thing, right? Negative fear, positive aspiration. Rule of thumb is the colder the audience, most people typically click on negative fear based because that's how most humans are wired. However, the warmer your audience, the more they know you, you can lean way more, which is what I typically do, lean way more into that desire, positive, aspirational type stuff for my hook. So having a really good hook, something that's going to grab attention, and a hook is both your title, and if it's a video, it's that first 10 to 30 seconds. So you want to go in communicating what they're going to get. You want to maybe elaborate on a little bit of a story, something that's going to grab their attention and bring them in right away. You don't ever want to go in and be like, here's just give away the whole topic, because it's like people aren't going to get it, right? So and they're going to think they get it. So you got to bring people through on a journey with you. And if it's a written post, you've got to make sure that first 4 to 5 lines, they call this a lead in copywriting. You got to make sure those first 4 to 5 lines are inspiring them or empowering them or making them curious enough or that really just grab them by the freaking eyeballs and make them want to keep reading. Very important. 80 to maybe even 90% of my time when I'm writing content is coming up with a really good hook. Sometimes it hits, sometimes it flops, but the only way that you could do it is just keep practicing. And the last one I'll give you here, and I talk about this on a lot of my content, so I'm not going to go too much into depth with this, but you got to build demand for long form content. This is really, really key. And going back to Alex Hormozi, if you think about, he did this for his, what was the book? The 100 million leads. I think that was his last one, I believe. 100 million leads. If you saw how he built up demand and what he did on that, if you watched his book launch, dude, it was master. It was really good. And so you got to build up demand for your long form content. This is something I've been preaching for freaking years. And so think about long form content like live trainings, masterclasses, workshops, or heck, even YouTube videos. You got to build demand for it. So the market right now, like if you think about it, information is a commodity. So information isn't hard to find. You can go into YouTube and type in, how to get XYZ result, right? And you're going to come up with lots of different videos. And so it's not about just posting content, it's about building demand for content. And so one of the key things that we've done to be able to grow our businesses and how I've helped lots of clients be able to build 6-figure to even 7-figure coaching businesses is by showing them how to build up demand for their content. We call these conversion content campaigns because that's what they do. They're campaigns designed to convert. You use content, right? And so I highly recommend that you host either a live training, a masterclass, or a workshop at least one time a month. You spend about a week to maybe a week and a half promoting it with content through your Facebook or Instagram, email, through some warm outreach, and really getting people to register, getting people to want to come to these trainings or workshops or whatever it is that you do, get them there. And then on those workshops, on that content, you just want to have a really good hook. You want to have good storytelling. You want to be able to teach very concise, targeted topics to help people get like small wins, and then have a really good call to action. And you'll be able to book sales calls in mass, or create sales. If you don't do sales calls, you'll be able to create sales in mass when you do this right. Hopefully that helps. Now, listen up. Do not compromise on your core message for anything. Focus on what speaks directly to your potential clients, not just anyone with a Wi-Fi. And yeah, your reach might shrink for sure, but your potential for action, it'll skyrocket. The amount of people like I can't remember who was it Kevin Kelly, I think, wrote a book a long time ago called 1,000 True Fans. And this is back when Facebook was just coming up with like they had desktop. I don't think even Instagram was really a thing yet. And so I think it's even easier now. But just having 1,000 true fans, like, you're taken care of. And if you sell a high ticket program, dude, you need like 100 true fans. That's really, and you could be living a really good life. Bottom line is this: when you don't when you're focused on on saying the right words in the right way to the right people, and then you're plugging those words into the right type of content, creating demand for long form content, optimizing that system, it becomes almost too easy. But again, it's a lot of it's you just building the skills and having that focus there. So bottom line is this: don't get seduced by the vanity metrics, the views, the likes, the shares, but they don't pay the bills. What matters is connecting with the right people, the ones who want what you got, the ones who will take action. So take a hard look at your content over the last, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, however long you want to go back. Are you diluting your message, chasing views? Are you really speaking your truth? Are you staying true to your core message? Remember, it's not about how loud you shout. It's about whispering the words into the right ears. Focus on your core message. Be unapologetically you, and watch your people start flooding in. And if you're ready to dive deeper, you want the nitty gritty on content marketing and brand messaging, I've got you covered, my friend. Next week, depending on when you're watching this, I'm hosting a free workshop called Money Messaging, and I'm going to show you how to create content that pulls in your dream clients. Because here's the truth: we're in this together, and I'll be damned if I let you make the same mistake as the big guns like Alex Hormozi have made, especially when they're publicly sharing. And I've made the same mistake, so I'm going to be sharing through my own experience, as I alluded to today. And so if you're ready to cut through the noise and make your content that actually matters, aka converts dream clients, then just let me know. So 2 things: post in the comments down below what your biggest takeaway was. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you can get more content like this if you found this helpful. And if you want an invite to the live workshop, just say the word invite, and I'll make sure, or you could send me a DM wherever you're listening or watching this on. You can send me a DM on Facebook or Instagram with the word invite, and I'll make sure I hook you up with the link. All right, my friend. As always, your message matters now more than it ever has before. Don't be afraid to freaking speak it. As always, be seen, be heard, and be